Yo, welcome to the Allie G and maybe the Allie G and Matty V show.
Mm-hmm.
Today,
Mm-hmm.
I am your host with the most, and I am here to interview the wonderful, the one and only Allie G. Allie G, welcome to your own show.
Thank you so much, Matty V. What a great intro. Although
I
I
was
missed
so
out on my
nervous.
yo yo yo.
You did. I was so nervous for that. So today, we are going to be talking about you, which is probably something that you're gonna, cringe about, and that's fine.
Yeah,
We're here to
always.
we're here to lay it out. Now, you've had a couple of episodes so far where you have talked about your Boston experience, but that I think has largely been focused on, in race and in course and favorite moments and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
today, we're going to get real. And I do have brews,
Scared.
but this is an athletic brew. So that I'm not actually, you know,
I mean, you could have a brew if you want. It wouldn't
I
be the
could, I
first
could,
time on
I
in
could.
pod history.
Yeah, no, it would not be the first time. And so I think the objective for today, for those listening, is going to be to really break down and understand your training cycle and to go through how you kind of came into the cycle and how you approached various elements and aspects of your training, being coached, and ultimately getting to the start line with the various sort of things that were probably unexpected and
Yes.
were frustrating to deal with. And, some of that is life. And so my hope is that we can walk away from today with, I think, everybody getting a better appreciation, not only for you, Ali G, and how you train, but also that a lot of us go through a lot of very similar things and that we're not in this sort of training cycle mental craze alone. So
Yeah.
the first question I just wanted to start out with was overall. We're gonna start with the Boston Marathon, but we're then going to rewind
Okay.
to the beginning. But first, I just want to understand. It's now a couple weeks out. How have you been processing? Not necessarily how you feel about the, like, yes, that it's sort of immediate feeling about the race and how you did, but how have you been processing it since then?
I think that's such a good question because it's so different and I'm just now kind of really truly processing it because I think the bounce back after the marathon is where I do the most reflection, right? Like, and how I feel after very much makes me think about how I felt during and the race itself. So, you know, my opinion on it has definitely changed a little bit, not much.
How so?
I mean, like race day was great and it went well, but I keep kind of falling back into that pattern of like, oh, well, I could have done this or I could have done that if this
That's
didn't
the
happen.
slippery.
It's the
That's
worst.
that's
It's
the.
the
I
worst.
wouldn't say it's the worst. I think that it's an important part of any reflection. But like,
Yeah.
let's dig into that a little more for me. Like, what do you think you could have done better? Because sometimes that's a fallacy, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes there is some genuine growth that can come from
Hmm.
that. So let's lay it out. What do you think you could have done better, and then we can dissect whether we think that that is like true.
Okay. No, that's a good question. I think I could have. I know I hate saying this because I kind of sound like a confident jerk, but I don't mean for it to come across that way. I could have gone
Well, now
faster.
you've put that in my head.
Given, yeah, I am a confident jerk.
Allie's a
Um,
jerk.
I could have gone faster, but I think I that's the part that I get hung up on, right? Like I had this goal
Hmm.
and I was dealt these cards, as you know, and I'm sure we'll get into in the pod.
Sure.
And then immediately after I was like, wow, I did so well for what was happening to me, which is true. And that sticks, right? Like that
Hmm.
feeling has stayed since the day after the marathon, a few days after, and still today. Like I absolutely left it all out there, but it's that feeling of like, I wish what happened to me didn't happen. Does that
Mm.
make sense? Am I getting deep enough for you or no?
You
You're
are.
making faces at me.
Okay, so I
It's
hear this
fine.
a lot, and I think this a lot. But
Hmm.
what specifically do you think, or why specifically do you think you could have gone faster? Because I think that, you know, I think one of the hardest parts about a marathon is that you're like, um, say you're 3 minutes and say you're 3 hours, 1 minute,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're like, oh, I could have, but we didn't, right? And it's like,
No.
and then you're like, that's only 2 seconds a mile. That's only two.
I know. I know. It's so bad. I
That's
hate thinking that way.
that's one water stop I could have not
Mm-hmm.
walked through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I
Yeah.
don't know. So let me ask you: do you think you now that you've said that, right?
Right.
Do you think that you could have gone faster? And I'm not saying you should now
Well,
say.
no, no. I
I'm not
guess when
saying
you
you should
pose
now
it
say
that
no.
way,
I'm asking you to really think about like why.
now that you said it that way, there's no part in the race where I was like, oh, I shouldn't have grabbed the cup that way, or I shouldn't have slowed down as much to get the water. Like, there's no point in the race where I was thinking that. I think it's more me
Yeah,
comparing my training cycle and
yeah,
how strong I felt during to the outcome. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So it's kind of
I
like I
know,
need to use my
and
own logic, like against my own thoughts.
well,
It's like
yeah,
it
I
messes
think
with your
it's just
mind.
healthy to remember that it's hard for both to be true, that you
Hmm.
left it all out there and that you could have gone faster. Um,
That's true. That's true.
and and so I think it's look I have I don't know if there's ever a race where I
Hmm.
don't think back to all of those moments
Hmm.
where I could have chosen something different. Now, this is your second or third Boston?
Second.
Second, okay. Um, I think it is also true that every time you run, particularly Boston, I've run Boston, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. I can't.
Hmm.
Um, and every time I run it, I um, have a better relationship with it
Yeah. Yeah.
and improve the not only the experience, but I think decision making. And then as a runner, I think So how have you taken the last from a year ago Boston to today?
Hmm.
And obviously there's differences in weather, there's differences in training, there's lots of there's lots of differences.
Hmm.
But what would you say you've learned and took with you into this race?
I think that's a really good question because for me,
I
last
only
year, like,
Come on, I only have good
I
questions.
mean, obviously, you're Matty V. You only have good questions. Um, it's a loaded one because last year was that one race where like I was really riding on a high. Like I had a really really good 2023. Just when like everything just hits. And I'm not saying like everything I did was perfect or every race was perfect. I
No,
was just really
everything hitting does not mean perfect, but yeah, I
yeah,
understand.
I know. But I was just in it, right? Like I was really going after the 4 milers. I was really going after the 5Ks. Like I was really going after every single distance
Yeah,
individually, not every single race.
yeah,
Um, and going into Boston 2024, kind of coming off that, like again, another really strong training cycle. But before, like I got the flu, so I was like out for a week and a half, and then I was like all in my head about that. And then so my approach to it last year was a lot different than this year.
mhm.
And like illness aside and training cycle aside, like I think I just wasn't in a great mental space and I freaked myself
Right,
out
so
so much.
last year you kind of came into it sick, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
it was like I had the
So you
flu,
just
I
had a
ran the
different
United
mental
half.
approach to this one.
Yeah, oh for sure. And I think that's something that I definitely carried into this year, right? Like last year it was really hot for me. I have really bad asthma. So like I wasn't even like everything kind of aligned last year in terms of fueling and carb loading, but it was just one of those days where it just wasn't my day. Like I was really hot, I was
It was
overheating,
true for a lot
couldn't
of people, for what it's
yeah,
worth.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And like I remember when my mom texted me after and she's like, I don't want you to be upset. Please don't be upset because she knew I had this goal, right? And but at the end of the day, I learned that
Goals are
it just
made.
doesn't matter. Like it literally doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that goals don't matter or that
No, they're messy though.
you don't want to hit they are messy. And it's like if I didn't have that experience last year, I think I would have gone into this year with like the same attitude I went in last year, if that makes sense. Like I would have been a nervous wreck. I would have been freaking out, like,
Mhm.
just like more nerves than normal. So this year I was able to take that and I was like, you know what? I have this Achilles thing going on.
Yeah.
It's already like I need to expect that it's not going to be what I expected it to be.
Hmm.
And you and I had talked a lot about this in Molly too, and like how to approach the injury during the race and before and after.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just learned that like it's okay to walk. It's like okay. Like I was just happy last year to finish on 2 feet for real.
Hmm.
Like that's how bad my day was. And I was really beating myself up. And the last 10K, I literally like did a walk run and I walked up the Newton
Sorry, this is
Hills.
last year or this year?
Yeah, this was last year.
Yeah.
So like coming into this year, I just learned that like I'm just like, whatever happens is gonna happen, right? Like you can
Yeah.
train all this time and you can I feel like you're shaking your head and you're like, that's
Oh,
not
no, no,
right.
no, not at all.
No,
No.
no, no, I know.
No, listen, I had a friend who raced. She did get a PR this Boston.
Mhm.
Um, didn't look at her watch
Yeah.
and ran by feel, and it was she had like a
Mhm.
breakthrough. She had a breakthrough day, absolute
Yeah.
breakthrough day. And I
It's
do think that
amazing.
there is something to a letting go of
Mhm.
some expectations. That doesn't mean reducing your aspirations, and I think there's a
Right.
very big difference. And I think sometimes it's easy to feel like, well, if I want to do well, then I have to,
Mhm.
think through. I used to be a guy. I'm probably still this guy, but I used to be a guy where on my arm I wrote every 2 mile split. There's photos on
Oh my
Instagram.
god. I know I feel like you showed this during your New York City like in person at the pop-up. I feel like you had a photo of you
Yeah,
pacing Molly and you had
yeah.
your little,
And I used to do that for a long time.
Mhm.
I've changed it a little bit, and I do. It's helpful to have a plan, but I think it's also helpful to consciously understand that that plan will change.
Yeah.
So, but something you said, in terms of you coming into it. So let's actually back up to the beginning of the cycle.
Mhm.
Um,
This year?
yes, and
For this
and
year.
one
Okay.
thing I always have as a conversation with athletes that I coach and that Molly and I coach is where are you coming in? And and I don't think people ask or think about this question enough in terms of how it will impact what it is that you focus on for that training cycle. Did you come off of a half or a full or like a 5K, 10K cycle? And that I think
Mhm.
will help inform things. So when you came in, where were you coming in from? And
Mhm.
what were your kind of hopes coming into it? Not obviously what your hopes ended up being on race day, but what were your hopes at the start?
I was coming from off of New York. That if I'm understanding the question correctly, I was coming off of
Yeah,
New York training cycle
got it. So you
last
had a,
year.
you came in off of a marathon cycle,
Yes,
and
but I
marathon to
didn't.
marathon cycle
Yeah,
can also be tough. And what was
yeah,
before New York? Boston.
Boston.
You're not a marathoner.
No, I don't run marathons. That's disgusting. Like who does that? So stupid.
Okay. Did
Yeah,
you do any smaller races in the middle? I mean, I'm sure you did like
yeah. I
NYR
did like,
miles or stuff, but did you make
yeah.
any of them goal races where you like trained for 10K?
No, I didn't. And I think that's what I kind of missed. Like from that 2023 to 2024 year, which would be my first Boston, like which everything was kind of aligning, I really did like a wide array of distances. And I loved it because I was able, and I talk about this a lot with other people that are on the pod, like, and I always ask people what their favorite distance is. And I always say a half because I feel like you can play with speed and endurance in a half. And like,
Do you have a
obviously you're worried about,
do you have a 13.2 is half of nothing on your car?
no, should
A
I?
bumper sticker?
No, I've never seen that. I need one now.
Backlight just made bumper stickers. We just made bumper stickers. Yeah,
What?
you want
And
one?
you didn't send me any?
We just got it today. All right, we'll share that.
Unbelievable.
That'll be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this year, and I guess this is like answering your question and also adding another answer to another question, but it's like going into Boston this year, I was like, all right, this is going to be a good spring marathon. I just didn't want to get sick during the cycle. I wanted to stay
Mhm.
healthy. I wanted to really recover. And then I ended up having the Achilles thing, a little blip in the cycle,
We'll
which
get
I'm sure
there.
we'll
We'll
get
get there.
into.
Not
We'll get
yet.
into it. But um but yeah, before Boston, I recorded a podcast with Erica, who is the co-host of On the Runs, and she was like, "You should do this ultra." And I was like, "You know what? that seems like such a good challenge for me. And it's
Mhm.
a change up from like just doing Boston, New York, Boston, Chicago, Boston, whatever. And it doesn't always have to be Boston. I'm not trying to say that, but it's like 2 marathons in a year is a lot without
Yeah.
any other variety in there. And I
Yeah.
think I said this to you the other night. Like, I want to start doing other things that's like ultras and challenging myself. And because it's not just a challenge in that it's a lot of miles, it's a challenge for me to like slow myself down a bit. Like, it's a different
Mm.
pace, a different vibe, a different cycle.
Yeah. I mean, I think getting into different gears,
Mhm,
faster and slower
mhm,
on the relative range for a person is really important. I think it's also important for like just bodily injury prevention and like adaptations and that type of thing. And so, if you don't use certain, I don't, and I mean this both metaphorically and literally, but if you don't use certain muscles, they um, they don't have quite the same muscle memory, right? So much of running
mhm.
is um, neuromuscular, and so part of why we train and why we practice is to develop that. So, what was your goal? Did you have a time goal or not coming in, or or did you just kind of say, I'm just trying to do the best? I know you're hoping to. I know you want a PR eventually again, right? From
Yeah.
your current, but was that the goal for this Boston?
And I
Oh,
never want to say
no, 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 no,
never.
hold on.
I
I'm
never
not
want to say
asking. I'm
never
not
with
asking.
you
I'm not asking. I'm not
because
asking where you ended up. I'm asking
no.
what was your when you heart of hearts. Look inside, Allie. What was your goal at the time? You can be honest. If it was a
It
PR,
was
that's okay. If it
no,
wasn't, that's also okay.
my hand to God, Matt, it was not a PR. I've said forever that
Fine. I'm
this
not
is one that won't be a PR
right.
course for me.
Okay.
I think Boston takes a lot of structure in your run, and I'm
Yeah.
not
So, what did
like
you want out of it? What were your qualitative
marathons
goals
do. I wanted to BQ in Boston. That's been my goal the entire time. Last year to this year, carried on. And then based on my training cycle, I was like, my B goal kind of became running a 310. And then when I had the Achilles thing, I was like, okay, maybe I should slow it down a bit.
and what
So
was
like it changed.
and remind me your BQ time is
325,
got it.
which I already, and again, I sound like a confident jerk. I have the BQ in New York, but it's
Yeah.
just, I think, a different goal for me
I don't
personally.
think you need
Like,
to. I don't. I don't think you need to apologize for being for like
yeah,
where you are.
no,
So
that's true.
don't be hard on yourself. I think you
Yeah,
can. I think we can recognize where we are without being without
yeah,
rubbing it in people's faces, but which
no,
you have
for
never
sure.
done and you don't do, and that's not the
Thank
type
you.
of person that you are.
I, I
But
appreciate
I don't
that.
want you to apologize for your for like you know
Success. Yes. Okay.
for well and the hard work you put in. We all deserve
Yeah.
to, I think, be seen.
Hmm.
Both within ourselves and by others for the hard work that we do, more
Yeah.
so than the time. Yours just happens to be a time that you know Boston recognizes as a qualifying, which is great. We want that for lots of people. Okay, so you had these qualitative goals to BQ
Hmm.
and then to have a 310. And so, not too far into the cycle, you had check my math,
Hmm.
understood that you needed to move. You
Hmm.
started a podcast
Hmm.
in your training.
Hmm.
I don't know if like it's a busy or not time, or
Oh
because I
yeah.
think you told
It's
me it's
yeah.
massively busy time because you're preparing for work because
Hmm.
you're preparing for summer stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so in the
Yeah.
summer, it's a little bit easier for you because it's like a lot of the hard work is now being like coming to fruition.
Right.
So you had like a literal full time job and then like stressors that most people like, you know, for many people, like just the thought of moving and,
Yeah.
all that type of stuff is its own stressor. So tell me how like that kind of factored into, affected or not, how you were training.
That's a great question. I think it definitely impacted my sleep, which obviously goes hand in hand with recovery and all of that. Like the last few weeks leading up to Boston were
Hmm.
like some of the most stressful of I've ever experienced. And I'm not saying that for sympathy. It's just one of those things where exactly like you explained. Started the pod at the beginning of the year,
Yeah,
my
and I didn't even
full-time job
include
is insane.
I didn't even include getting to the injury part, but like
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
managing
no, that's
that.
true. Yeah.
Where I was just saying like these were things that were happening in January.
Yeah. Yeah. And then moving, like when I signed my lease, I was like, "Oh my god, I have to move all my shit." And obviously, but you just don't think about it until I don't think about it until I'm in it, and then it like smacks me in the face basically.
And you're
So it
like, I
was
can
really
do this.
stressful.
I can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I'm like a New Yorker slash New Jerseyan. Like I can.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being fine. I'm fine. um,
That's
but
usually not the phrase people say when they're actually fine.
when they're
I'm
actually fine,
fine.
I'm
I'm
fine.
fine.
Everything's
I'm
fine.
totally fine.
I'm totally fine. I'm not smiling, but I'm fine. Yeah, I don't know. It got progressively tougher to balance everything. Well, like when I was during the training cycle and I was running like 13 miles on a Tuesday of like tempo work and then some easy miles, I'm just like, oh my God, I have to go work the full day. And
Mhm.
it's not about having to work. It's just the fact that like it's 5:30, I'm getting up, I'm trying to find a 13-mile route around my neighborhood in the suburbs, and then I have to like go think about work. And like I think just it was mentally exhausting while it should just be like a little bit mentally exhausting, but like physically exhausting. So I had a lot of both. Um, and I
Well, and
think that definitely,
I'd like to imagine that most people listening, um, that resonates because
I
I
hope.
don't know anybody. I mean, unless you're a pro, if you're going for it
Hmm.
and you're trying,
Hmm.
and a lot of us, I think one of the challenges of coaching plans um, is that a lot of them are based on elite training plans. You know,
Hmm.
like
I didn't even know that actually.
yeah. One of the pods I want to do with Molly is like the sort of like the history of coaching plans and different methodologies and different styles and periodization, all that type of stuff. She has this. There's this amazing schematic that she wrote
Of
out
course.
that's like a history and time of running.
That's so cool though.
It is. It is. We'll get to that one day. But there's a lot of plans out there that are basically like watered down versions of elite plans, and
Hmm.
we're not just elites that train 60% of the time, 70% of the time. We're
Hmm.
people that we're not elites, right?
Yeah, we're
And so,
working.
yeah, and
And we
so
have jobs outside of our job to
yeah,
run.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
I think it's very common to feel what you're feeling. I know I certainly feel it. The the sort of like, and it's actually my challenge. I don't know. I'm curious what you think. I have grown tired of the like rise and grind
Yes.
type of. Um, I think like I don't know. I think the more we associate this great thing that we do with grinding it out,
Hmm.
I think it's also why I've seen over, especially in New York, over the past like 7 years, I've seen like almost like these like cohorts of like you know people that like become the
Yes.
influencers, and then like a lot of people burn out, and then it's like
Hmm.
okay, I'm done, and then like
Yep.
people go like become lone wolves and run by themselves, or
Yeah.
go to a chill thing, and not every run is a photo shoot anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
That's right.
which side note, the number of crews in Boston, we, as you know, did a shakeout.
Hmm.
You were part of our shakeout. The number of crews that had like 3+ photographers
It's
on the
insane.
shakeout, I'm like,
It's
guys,
insane. It's a
this
shakeout.
is fucking a shakeout.
Yeah. It's a shakeout.
Like, come on. I don't know.
I think but that's what I love about you guys so much is that I don't mean a negative toward another run group, but it's just like, it's kind of becomes unserious. Even
Mm,
though a shakeout is unserious, but you're just like you guys do it because it matters and
mm,
other groups do it because it matters, but it's like for show a little bit,
yeah,
if
I
that makes
appreciate it.
sense. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, but that's what I admire about you guys so much because it's like truly your passion shows in that way. All
Yeah,
of you.
I
You,
appreciate
Molly, I mean, Rob never joins the shakeout. Sorry, Rob, but like his passion shines at the photo shoots
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and when he's texting me all these creative ideas.
So I think what I'm curious about is in training reflection for you, you're talking about these challenging aspects of the cycle. What, if anything, did you learn about yourself through all of these things pre-injury? Because we'll get to the injury, and we'll expand on that a bit. But even just like going at this cycle, and I think you had a really good cycle, right?
Yeah.
Everything. The injury sucks, and like
Yeah.
sometimes it's unavoidable, and sometimes it's just
Yeah.
shitty, right? And it's a
Yeah.
bad deck of cards. But before we get to that point, you were having this great cycle. What were you learning about yourself in the process?
I think that I'm mentally stronger than I give myself credit for. I think a lot of running, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like you run alone a lot, right? Am I right in saying that? Like,
That's generally, yeah.
yeah.
You run a lot of miles, so
Yeah, you do run a lot of miles. And so do I. And I did during this training cycle. So a lot of it was alone, like a lot of it was alone and but also there were some long runs I did with my cousin Caitlin, as I think you met Caitlin. And I think that it's like when it's just you and you put on your shoes and you're like, oh my God, I have 22 miles to run. Like I totally used to discount the fact that I was able to do that and mentally stay in it. And I wouldn't ever give myself credit. I think it's really easy to give up during a run mentally, like for some people. And I used to be that way. Like I would just be like, oh, whatever, it's 10 degrees out. I'm going to like cut it short and whatever. But it was more this training cycle. It was more like, while I had that original time goal pre-injury and I knew my training cycle was going really, really well.
you
And I was
did have a time goal.
getting closer. 3:10, I told you
You did.
before the injury.
You did.
But like I realized that it was like I don't know, because I don't want to come across as like grinding either, but it was like I remember a day where I was out in the park and it was like 15 degrees.
Perseverance and determination. I think you can still.
Yeah.
I meant it more in the like
Yeah, like the rising grind.
well,
Yeah.
I think the glorification of the grind is I think there are way other inspiring things to glorify.
And actually to your point
That's
too,
all I meant about that comment.
No, for sure, for sure. And I think to your point, and to answer this question, I also kind of learned that it doesn't have to be like that. I learned that like it doesn't have to be extra. You don't have to be extra to be successful, right? Like you get to a point in training where it's like I was running in the park one day, I had like 16 miles, but it was legitimately like 7 degrees out. I had all my layers on, my backline windbreaker, obviously. I had a hat on, I had my like hand warmers on, and I literally just got to a point where I could not, like my body was just not warming up. It was so cold. And then
Yeah, I've
like
definitely had those days. Definitely.
yeah, and like past me would be like you got to make it through no matter what. And like this past training cycles me now like 2 years later, 3 years later is like okay, 1 mile is not going to make or break you. I'm not doing that every run. I'm not doing that every training run. But it's like when you get to a point where you can put less pressure on yourself, and you know me by now where I can say that, I'm not saying that in a slacker way, but I'm saying that in the sense of like, I very much learned so much about my body and what I'm capable of doing and what doesn't have to be done to reach my goal, if that makes sense.
I mean, one thing that Molly and I say to lots of people is that no single training cycle matters. Sorry, that's not what I meant to say. No single.
I know what you meant.
No single workout matters. I think actually you probably could extrapolate that to a training cycle if you wanted to take an off season. But I meant in the context of a training cycle that no single workout matters. And I think you could, if we fast forward a little bit, I think you might also tell me if you disagree with this, but you were worried a little bit about losing fitness.
Oh, for sure.
During, with
for
the injury. Sure. Now, you were close enough to the race, and that's not how fitness works, where you lose it in like a day.
I only had to call you crying to find out that I wasn't going to lose fitness.
But and I think, but for you were crushing it on the course until you started getting some of that Achilles pain, right? Which I think is evidence of that I don't, your challenges on race day were not a fitness issue,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's
Like,
true.
I think we can agree on that. It was not
For
it,
sure.
it was not a fitness issue, even though you had a really low mileage April,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. I mean, I
Um,
barely ran. First time I ran was like
right.
the 5K in like 3
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, but I think it's a sign of maturity. So I applaud you for it. Um, but I think it's a sign of maturity when you can make an adult decision about making a modification
Hmm.
and tweak to the plan that gives you some breathing room to say, you know what,
Hmm.
I'm not feeling it today. That is, I think, what you and I both mean when we say the rise and grind, where it's like, well, it's
Yeah.
on the plan, so I got to do it. Obviously, there are times where it's like, this is the only day that it can be done because of this, and that reason, and I can't do it tomorrow because I just simply don't have the time, and it's
Hmm.
20 miles, and I'm traveling, and I need to do a hill workout, and tomorrow I'm not going to be the hills. So like, I get
Hmm.
it. Like sometimes you can't always do that, but you
Right.
can, you know, there are certainly weekends where I think you can say, I need to sleep in a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to make my long run tomorrow, right?
Hmm.
I think and what you were saying of not being a quote unquote slacker. I think what you mean by that is you're not worried about totally taking off the long run and taking off certainly not on a repeat basis, right?
Right. Like you get to a
It
point
sounds
where
like
it's
it sounds like
like
you just had a better relationship. So let's get into that.
definitely.
How would you say your relationship with running, particularly this cycle, has evolved?
I think, yeah, I mean, you kind of answered your question for me, but I think I've just become a more mature runner on all levels. Like I've learned that it's not always about the rise and grind. I've become more mature in saying like, you know what, if I didn't hit my paces this speed workout, like it's okay. Like that's the point. That's why we're doing this. That's why
Mhm.
it's a process. That's why you train for 16 weeks or however many weeks you train for. So I think that was definitely one of the most important things I learned. And I also kind of think I have a new relationship with recovery. I was never the person that was like, I'm going to run every single day and never take a break. But there were periods of my life where I was like, if I don't do at least
Yo,
something,
remember
I'm going to freak
remember no
out.
days off. Remember when like no
Oh,
days off and run
that was
streaking
like
was
the
like
worst
all
thing
the
ever.
rage.
Yeah.
And
And
it
it's
was like,
like,
and to be fair to Tracksmith, who I whether they started that or not, they certainly made it a major component
mm-hmm.
of their thing. But they came out and were like, guys, this is not this does not
Yeah.
mean literally no days
Mm-hmm.
off. You know what I mean? Like even
Yeah.
they so people definitely
They took it and ran for sure.
they people
People.
took that man. Yeah. But sorry, please continue.
No, but I just think on all levels, I became a much more mature runner. And I think a lot of that too, backtracking a bit, is because of Boston last year. That was really my first. I hate saying bad because it wasn't even bad. Like I ran. It doesn't even matter what the time was, but like it wasn't even bad. But to my standards at that point where I was as a runner and like
Yeah.
where I was physically with that training, I just kept telling myself that it was bad. But now I look at that and I'm like, actually, I was able to pivot and figure out how to finish on 2 feet and be strong afterwards and not not like go down or not get sick or
Yeah.
not whatever. And I don't mean that to brag, but it's like more along the lines of like I learned so much about myself that day and then I carried it over with me a full year. And like I look
And it
back to this training
stings. It
cycle. It
stings.
does. I was
And
upset. Like I wasn't like upset. I just was more upset. Again, it always circles back to like other than getting sick during that training cycle last year, like I had a pretty strong one. Like I was really strong. I was coming off a good year. Probably was exhausted for sure. Um, but you know, it's just like it just wasn't my day. Didn't go as planned. But it stung for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, the further away any of us get from something that hurts,
Hmm.
I think the easier it is. I don't mean this in a cliche time
Yeah,
heals
are
thing.
you trying to say time heals all wounds, Matt?
I'm not, no, I literally just said I am not saying that in a cliche way. I am saying, though, that it is easier to see what, how that propelled you in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yes, if you wanted to be cliche about it, you could say there's a silver lining in everything. It's not what I'm
Yeah, no,
saying
I know
is
what you
that
mean.
I think if we at least take advantage of, um, and I don't even think you need to search for it. I think for most people
Mm-hmm.
looking back, and it sounds like this is true for you, I know it's true for me, is that you wouldn't be where you are. You certainly wouldn't be, it sounds like, where you are now or were mid this cycle, but for last year's um, result, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, I agree.
And,
Completely agree.
and I think it hurts at the time when you've got the heat and you're like, oh, if it wasn't for the heat, I could have gone faster.
I know.
If it
You
wasn't
could say that
for
about
the
anything
headwind,
though, right?
if it
To your
wasn't for the
point.
headwind, I could have gone faster. If it
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
for that project at work, I
Mm-hmm.
could have gone faster.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for, you know, I took my gel at this wrong spot, or I dropped my gel, like
Yeah.
it freaked me out, and I lost confidence, and I could
Yeah.
have gone faster. And I think
Yeah.
that's why, coming back to the beginning, I wanted to challenge you to say, like you started out by saying I put it all out there, you
I
know,
know.
and I think you got to recognize that.
I know. I do. And I think again to your point from the first question, it's like it took me 2 weeks to realize that. Like, and my body's
And
feeling it.
Allie,
Like,
if we have this conversation in like 9 months from now too, there's
yeah,
going to be other things.
I know. I know. That's
You
why we're
know,
doing this. We're
you're
doing
going to
it
be
now
like,
and we'll do it
you're going to
again.
be like, that conversation with you, Matt, like, was so eye opening.
That's exactly how I'm going to say it too.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my
Oh
god,
my
Matt.
God.
Matt.
That that
Remember that?
conversation
Remember
was
that?
so enlightening,
Remember
Matt.
that Allie? Remember that Allie G and Matty V show? That was epic.
Epic.
Anyway, okay. I'd love to know. So let's fast forward to the injury. So
Hmm.
tell people what happened. Tell me what I mean. Well, I know mostly what happened, but like, how did it start when you were like, "Oh, what's
Yeah.
going on here?"
I was it's funny, I was running in Raleigh, which I really like running in Raleigh because it's hotter than all hell in the summer. So it always helps me for the training cycle to like get used to that humidity. Um, but I was going up like this one little hill in my cousin's neighborhood in particular that I love going up because it's super steep and it's really short. And I was going up and it's like 0.09 miles and I'm like, oh man. Like I just,
We knew.
when you have a feeling, I
We
just
knew.
knew. Like I woke up, I remember waking up, I got out of bed that day and my ankle felt like stiff, but I was like, oh, maybe I just slept funny, whatever. And then when I got up to walk, I was like, oh, that feels a little weird, but it doesn't like hurt. And then when I ran up that little hill, that's when I called you and I was like, Matt, I'm freaking out because I truly, like, I'm not even trying to be dramatic. Like, I was limping after a tenth of a mile because it hurt so bad and I had never experienced anything like that. Um,
And this was I want to say early. Was this late March or early April?
this was like the last week of March, I think.
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
right around the turn of the month,
Mm-hmm.
turn of the
Mm-hmm.
quarter
Yeah. The
for
turn of
us
the
in the corporate
quota.
world.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right. If you're a professional like Matty V,
you're a professional.
you're so profesh, Matt.
Yeah. Um, so that's scary. So how did that? What
Mm-hmm.
was going? I mean, like, what was going through your mind?
Well, I like immediately, I think
Past the immediate. We know. I know you're. I know you're feeling. I know. Like, immediately, you're like, "Fuck." That's what's go.
that
That's what
is literally, I was like, fuck my life. Like,
that's
what am I going
literally,
to
yeah,
do?
yeah. And you're
Yeah.
like, "Ugh, I am less than a month away,
Yeah.
mother."
I said it just like that too. out loud to nobody, just myself. Um,
Oh yeah,
no, I was just thinking
I
like,
totally talk to my. I totally am like,
yo, yeah, I talk to myself the whole time I run. How do you
yeah,
not? How do you not? It's crazy if you don't.
yeah.
Um, I was definitely like, fuck, what am I gonna do? And then I immediately was just like, should I not run Boston? And it would
I
have, it's
know
not just
that.
because it's Boston, but it's just like if I had any race, maybe not like a half, but like a full was much more intimidating in that moment to like work up to, you know what I mean? So I think that was my immediate jump. Was like, oh, this hurts. Can't walk. Got to go home. And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't run.
I'm so sorry
Thank you.
because I
It sucked.
there's nothing worse than feeling like, especially for marathon cycle training,
Mhm.
right, where it's months,
Mhm.
you know, and you put in all this effort and then you're like, and I think that there is Steve Magnus had a post, and then Alex Hutchison, who just came out with a new book
Mhm.
about exploring, um, kind of both talking about how when the mind goes into these spaces of um, of like what you said, like maybe I shouldn't run, right?
Mhm.
Or in the middle of a race, um, it's that they both are saying they both of these posts, one as a post, one as a book, are kind of getting at the same thing, which is that like our brains are wired for the reduction of uncertainty,
Mhm.
and that part of why I think your brain went to, your mind went to maybe I shouldn't run is that it immediately removes this uncertainty of like, well, if I don't run, then like I know the outcome.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I don't think that's just like a planet. Like I don't think it's like just a thing. I do think there's something to that. Whether that's like when people like why do people run? Because they're it's like, well, there's uncertainty behind this door, and I want to see what's behind the see what's behind the door.
Yeah.
Um, so I think but when it impacts us negatively, particularly if we're trying to process something like an injury, it can absolutely, I think, put us in these, I don't say dark, but moments where like it's so easy to give up because
Yeah.
endurance running and endurance events are much about the will to continue carrying on in training as much as
Mhm.
it is in race and as much as it is with like your literal body, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When things get tough for you, um, like really tough, and I don't mean as tough as like either you're a tenth of a mile in and you have to stop,
Yeah.
but when you're just tired and you know that you can keep going, where does your mind go?
Oof, that's a good question. I think it immediately goes to like, where is my body hurting? Like, why do I feel so heavy? But it's almost always immediately like, why am I feeling this way? It's
Mm,
never like I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. It's always like I'm just thinking about why I feel this way. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like my first run after Boston, and I know this like isn't part of a training cycle, but just in general, like this is the one moment that I'm thinking about. Like I think I ran Sunday was the first, or Saturday was last Saturday was the first time I ran after Boston, and my heart rate was high, like my legs were heavy. I obviously didn't give myself enough time, but I was just like, oh, let's just see how I feel today. And I immediately was just like, no. Like every part of my body hurts. I'm like my heart rate
what
is
are you hearing?
skyrocketing.
And what do
And
you and
then
what are those like? Be they negative? Be they like thoughts of you can't do this,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's immediate.
What are you hearing?
Like you can't do this. How did you even run 26 miles? You can't even run 2 miles. Literally. It's funny how I just ran the marathon a week ago and I can't even run 2 miles today. But that's like truly what my body felt like in that moment. So, it's always the negative like how did
Mhm.
you even do that? You can't even do this.
And how about like mid race? Like you're doing it, it's hard. You're
Mhm.
feeling the like you're getting to mile. 16, 17, 18, 19,
Mm-hmm.
absent, I mean, even with even this Boston, what were the thoughts that crept in?
When I was at mile 11, 11, 12, I was worried about, I guess this one's specific to Boston because it's the Boston course, but at that point I was worried about getting to Wellesley. And because I kind of felt my ankle, and then immediately when I felt the pain, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Like I was like, it's over. I literally remember thinking like it's over. You know what I mean? And you're so dramatic in your head and you're trying to
Yeah.
put on this like brave face. And
Well, I mean,
immediately I'm like, the second I have pain, it's done. Like, what am I gonna do? Because it's not just like a training run where I can stop, or it's not just a half marathon where like, at mile 11, if I could push through the next two, like I literally had a whole more than a half left. So I immediately went to the negative of like, this is done. This is going to be the worst day of my life. Like, I'm going to be so upset. Boston's going to suck this year. It's not the course for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's all of those things
yeah.
that I was thinking, and that those were my exact thoughts when I was
Right.
approaching Wellesley.
And you give
And
up,
then,
and you give up all these goals, and then you're like, I don't want to put thoughts. We're talking about thoughts, obviously. I don't want to put thoughts in your head, but like, did you say? Did you like? From what happens to me is that like I down every goal gets shifted down like 5 rungs, right?
mm-hmm,
And so
mm-hmm.
like it's like I just want to finish,
Yeah.
and it's like and you and like
Yep. Yep. That is
and,
exactly how my whole weekend went. Like
and
every day it would change. And
yeah,
then during the race, same thing.
yeah. And when you were trying to at least BQ, which you were clearly
Yeah. I
well
mean,
under,
mm-hmm,
but even then, when you were halfway through, well under needing to BQ,
mm-hmm.
like were you questioning whether you would even finish or finish in any time, or were you at least relatively confident? Like, was that a thing that you were holding on to? Like sometimes, like if I like I've been going, I know you know this, I've been going for like 240 for like years, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to get to this thing, and I constantly just hit up against like 242, 241,
Yeah.
241, and so I'll be like, okay, well, let me at least try and stay under 245.
Yeah.
How did your we're jumping ahead, and I do want to come back to finishing up talking about the injury, and I also am conscious that we're 51 minutes in, but since we're on it, what was your how did your goals shift mid race? How did you handle the mental aspect of the that I know you just said yes, I felt it, and all of a sudden, like
It was over.
yeah,
I should have
you're
just
like,
walked off.
it's done. I'm just gonna
Should
step
have I
off.
should have just left. Like it was so stupid.
But okay, but you didn't, and you stayed in it,
Yeah.
which I'm proud of you for. So, like, tell us how you managed that.
I had a guest on the pod, and now friend, Hillary Kupish, and I was telling her about Boston, and we were talking like our episode was about a bunch of different things, but we were talking about Boston, and she had recommended that I make a list of what I was worried would go wrong and how I would solve it in that moment,
It's a
and what
great,
I would try to think. And I had never, and it was like some of the best advice I've ever gotten, truly. And I'm not like, she's awesome, and I'm totally inspired by her. But when she said that to me, I was like, wow, that's a really good point, because you're able to kind of like figure out how you're going to talk yourself down. And by the time I got to like how I was going to talk myself down, I completely forgot about what I was freaking out about. You know what I mean? Except for like the pain aspect. And I was thinking in that way, like I tried telling myself that like I did everything I could to be running that race, right? Like I did everything you and I talked about. I had just rested and taken all this time and given my body, like given myself the time to actually rest and like not put any pressure on my Achilles. You have that like imposter syndrome a little bit. I was like, do I even really deserve to be here? Like it got that deep, you know what I mean? But that's just like mid race things. Like you're just
but
thinking about all these things.
do you feel like that prepared you for some of those things that you encountered? Like,
Yeah,
I know it
for
was good
sure.
advice, and I would echo that advice. I think we said something slightly similar in terms of
Yeah,
at
you
least
definitely
like
did.
what you might. But is there an example mid race where you were like, "Oh, I've got the manual." Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? How did that play out in real time?
Yeah, that's a good question. As we talked about, like on our course recap and course strategy, like it's not an easy one. So I think I was really like in that moment after, because you have like that big hill. It's either right before Wellesley or like after, I think, right? It's like 13, one of those. Like there's a pretty big hill in that section.
Hmm.
Like you have the undulating whatever at the beginning, but um I really started honing in on my pace going up the hills and going down the hills because I knew that's what was causing the pain. Like I just knew that it was like obviously taking a toll on my Achilles and my body and the way that I was moving, and I didn't want to like fall super far from my pace that I was going out at, but um I was like, no, drop to like 740, 750 up the hills and like don't push, not that I was pushing it in the first half down the hills, but I was really 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 conscious about it because even if it was mind over matter, I was like tricking myself into thinking something like then I was actually feeling it kind of helped. Like, cause by the time I got to Newton, I was like, okay, now really go slow up, really control it on the way down. And then after heartbreak, I was like, I'll let myself go one, like super fast. And like that was the one that I let myself go down super fast. But other than that, I was really trying to focus on, I instantly got the pain, had more hills coming up, had all the Newton hills coming up. And I was like, if I just really try to slow down and focus on what's happening in real time on these hills, um, I was hoping that it would help. I mean, I still have the same amount of pain, but um, I don't know. I think that's how I talked myself down in that moment for sure. But it was a long time. It
Yeah.
took me like 4 or 5 miles to like really get myself together.
Was there a moment in the lead up, the weeks leading up, where you're dealing with this injury, where I know you had these moments of fuck.
Yeah.
Um, did you have moments on the other end of that where you were like, I'm going to figure this out? Or was it a struggle the whole time? Like how was the curve of emotion in the like 2 to 3 weeks leading up?
I think it was definitely a mix. It all depended on what was happening around me because a lot of the time, like running is a stress relief for me too. And with everything going on that we talked about, it was just like a lot in the moment and then throw the injury in it. And I was like, oh my God, this is a fucking disaster. There were days where I was really like beside myself and trying to calm myself down. And then there were other days where I'm like, no, you know what? This is going to be fine. And I guess it all depended on like a bunch of different factors, of course, but a lot of it was based on like the pain and what I was doing. And if I saw a direct correlation between like what I was doing and if the pain went away, or what I was doing and if the bump on my Achilles was going down, or, if anything that I was doing to like help resolve it or, solve the problem here, like if I saw things were helping, like it was easier for me to be more positive. But it was definitely up and down for sure. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't just like in a pit, like wanting everyone to feel bad for me. It was just more of like when I would have those rough days where I couldn't get out of my own head about it, and I was like, "Fuck this!" Like I like I'm never gonna make it. Like, and I would go down that path. Like I would try to find things to distract myself.
So appreciating that we're not that far out of it, what would you say to somebody else going through an injury right before a race like that?
That's a really good question. I would say like I feel like this sounds cliche or like this sounds like something everybody says, but like really trust your body in that moment, right? Like my body was very much telling me, and I was never this type of runner. And back, like circling back to the maturity aspect of it, like
Trusted
I
how?
would
I'll help you get past the cliche part. What do you mean to trust it?
like trust that it's happening for a reason. Like I think there was a reason
Nobody wants to hear
why.
that. They
No,
don't
but
want
it's
to hear. They
true.
don't want to hear that
But
the
it's
injury is
true.
happening for a reason.
But I would have never taken that time to rest. You know what I mean? It sounds stupid, but I would have literally pushed until the last day that I could possibly push during my taper to make sure I got what I wanted out of the situation. So I think
Really?
it's it's true. Like I really do think that, you know, that like everything happens for a reason. It sounds stupid, and I know you're going to laugh at me, but it's true. I would have
I'm kind of
never
laughing at
ever
you a little
Matt,
bit.
look at me. I would never take 3 weeks off before a race. Come on.
No,
I hate
but
even
I would
taking
hope
off like
I would hope you'd have an appropriate taper and a coach
no,
to
of
make
course,
sure
of course. I'm
you
saying like I'm never going to miss the tune up. Like that's like my favorite workout of the week. the taper week. You know what I mean? Like
I,
that's
I
just
imagine
not.
I imagine you probably took it easy on the like weekend of when it's so easy in Boston. There's like it is so saturated
Mhm.
now at Boston to like you can do 1,000 things.
Yeah,
You can walk a marathon
in the
easy
2 days. Yeah,
in like
I
two
went to the
days.
baseball game so that I could sit on my ass all day. Literally, I sat at Fenway all day. That was like my way of on Sunday because I knew I could have gotten
That'd
wrapped
be
up in so
horizontal.
many other
I
things.
don't know if I would want to sit. I'm sure
I
that's fine.
know.
I'm not second
No, I
guessing.
don't. But you know me. I can't sit still for 30 seconds. But it's like
So how'd you do it?
I I ate a lot of popcorn. Just like
Can I tell you, I love popcorn.
I
I've
love
like
popcorn.
I've recently rediscovered my love for like
Hmm.
caramel chocolate, like all of the fucking
It's
coated.
so good.
It's
I used to be a kettle. Is it kettle corn? Yeah, kettle corn girly. So fucking good.
I think whenever I think we're gonna have to get that for like the backline office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should
Okay.
get a popcorn
So
machine.
trust in your body. I
I would like truly, but truly listen to it, right? Like I went to the doctor. I went to
Mhm.
the orthopedist, and I had two questions. I was like, "Hey, am I going to rupture my Achilles?" That's number one. I'm like, "Am I going to rupture my Achilles
I
if I
could have
run this
told you the
marathon?"
answer was
You
no.
already did, but you know when
The
you
an-
hear it from a doctor, and not that you're
I
not a
am actually, you
doctor.
know what? I'm actually offended now.
Oh my
The amount
god.
of
Now I'm scared. Should I
the
just hang up?
the amount of force needed to rupture an Achilles. You're talking to a guy who ran like 60 miles a day on a busted Achilles.
Okay, but you also know that like the most random shit happens to me. Like I'm always the one that gets like the exotic illness from a trip that nobody else gets, but it's me. You know, like that stuff
Yeah.
just happens to me. So I would
Okay.
like,
So you asked him. Okay. So he told you the same thing that we told you. Go on.
yeah, yeah. Not that I
And
didn't believe you. Stop making me feel bad.
what was the second question? Can I run this
um,
thing, or will I make it hurt more?
no, I was like, can I run the marathon? Which
Right.
I
Can I
knew
run
he was gonna.
it?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say no, but
And he was probably going to say, "Well, you could. You know, it may not be your best, and
no, he's
you
a
know,
runner. So like, I felt confident asking him, and
okay."
he was like, you can run the marathon, but I wouldn't run at all. Like I wouldn't even tape. Like I would. He was like, I do not run a single mile until the 5K, and I was like, okay.
See, I gotta say, I don't know who this person was. I don't agree with. I don't agree with that.
Well, I didn't either, and I
The
ran the
amount of
5K.
science on Achilles needing loading, and I'm not saying that you go run,
Hmm.
but like you need loading it
Hmm.
in order. You need to load tendons in order for
Hmm.
them to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would
No,
have
I
been better
know.
served. You would
See,
have been better
you
served
taught me
by
that.
going. You would have been better served by going to, and I think you did, by
Hmm.
like going to the gym 3 days a week. And I'm not saying you like fucking go Hulk Hogan.
It's pretty funny
Is
though.
he the right reference?
I don't
Anything?
even know. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't even know. But that would have been a way to keep neuromuscular. That would be my advice, by the way, to anybody. Like just general advice is
Yeah.
like is to make sure that particularly if it's I mean obviously you should also see PT and somebody who's licensed, but
Yeah.
generally tendons need loading.
Hmm. No,
Okay.
you taught me that. See, we don't have to fight. Don't fight with me, Matt. Don't fight with me on my own pod. Um,
I'm the host right now. Okay.
that's true. That's true. You're in the driver's seat. Um, no, but I know it was a silly question, but you know when you need like I knew mentally like I needed to just hear it. Even though you like I know I'm not going to rupture my Achilles. Like I
Yeah.
just needed to hear it. I heard it from you, I heard it from Molly, I heard it from you know what I mean? But it's just one of those things
Sure.
where it was like the week before I had 7 days to go.
I hear you. I hear you.
You
Look,
know what I
I
mean?
don't
I know
fault you.
you're making fun of me and you're
I'm
judging
joking.
me so hard right now.
But I no, but I understand it.
Yeah.
I
And I hope you do understand my
I
answer
do,
of like
of
it
course.
it does like I mean it. Like I know everybody says to trust your body. And obviously you trust your body, but like I pushed the boundary a little bit in trusting my body. So if that didn't happen, this all could have happened like if I just kept going and powered through the pain and I showed up on Monday, like how much worse would it have been? Like that's what I mean in saying like trust your body, and like it kind of happens for a reason. Like I think it was just my body's way of being like, yo, chill the fuck out. You've moved. You have a full-time job that's nuts right now. You're training for the marathon. Now you're injured. Like at what point do we need to force
Yeah.
you to take a break?
I
Like that's
mean,
what I meant in saying that. Not
I mean, as the
not in a
saying,
cliche way.
I understand. I understand. I mean, as the saying goes, right? Like you generally speaking, can't overtrain. You can under recover, right? And I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's there's a lot of truth to that. Obviously, you can overtrain, the root cause is usually that like, you know, you're
Yeah.
not also doing an appropriate amount of like, you know,
Recovery.
if people who have these whoops or Garmin's and they're measuring their thing, I'm sure like a lot of people don't want to like look at their sleep metrics because they know that they're crap.
Yeah.
You know,
My sleep has gotten much better.
that's good. That's
I'm
good.
working on it.
All right. So to kind of bring this home, what was your how were you feeling going into race day? Like race morning, what were the highs? What were the lows? Race morning before the start.
Race morning before the start, highs were that after the 5K, I kind of after the long taper and doing well at the 5K,
That
even
sounds like
though
a movie. That sounds like a movie title. The long, long
the
taper.
long yeah, the long taper. That's the that I'm gonna rename the pod.
Yeah.
The long taper. So I did that. I had the taper, did the 5K, did really well, felt good. So I was kind of riding that high. Had a little freak out moment like the night before, and then I woke up. I had a slight
Oh, well,
headache, so
hold
that
on.
was
Let's not skip to the freak out moment. Tell like we're on here to talk about
okay.
your
True.
mental
I know
state.
you're really pulling it out of me today.
So, what was this
um,
freak out moment? What were you freaking out about?
I don't know. I was like, I think it's like that
What
denial
triggered it? I actually,
period.
I'm curious what triggered the freak out moment. For me, sometimes it's that like I find like I get into my apartment, I close the door, and I'm like I don't have anybody else, and I'm not walking, and I'm not like, and it's
Yeah,
like, and then I start to freak about whatever it is. So
yeah. It was because I
how
wasn't
did it
preoccupied. Like
how did it come on for you, and what was it?
we went to the so like did the 5K and then went to the expo on
Hmm.
Saturday. And then the whole day, or was that Sun? No, it was Saturday. And then the whole day I was like, oh, it's going to be great on Monday. Like I just kept saying it over and over again, like out loud, because I was like,
You were like,
we kept saying
pumped.
happy day,
I'm
actually. Like,
fucking pumped.
yeah, like,
You like saying it like, oh, happy day.
no,
Were you saying it?
literally, like all of us. That's going to be in the trailer for this
Big,
episode.
Big Al with a big voice.
Big Al with a big voice. Yeah, everybody was calling me Big Al. It was so funny. I had the whole crew there, and everything that happened, we would just be like, happy day. Like, we'd be like, oh my God, this, like, they gave me an extra donut at the donut shop. Happy day. That obviously didn't happen. I don't eat donuts. Everybody knows that. But, like, anything that would
I
happen,
didn't.
I know, you can make fun of me.
Fuck.
Everybody's made fun of me on the pod. I hate donuts. I hate donuts so much. Um,
Is there like what do you love
like sweet treats.
in that realm?
I would take like a cookie or brownie, but like in the same realm as a donut in my head. Like I love muffins. Love. Like chocolate chip blueberry muffin. I'm all
Like
about
I love a muffin like chopped, not like chopped
it.
like a fucking
Like
vegetable.
baby food.
No, I meant like in half, grilled butter,
Butter. Yeah.
toasted,
Yeah. It's
nice and
fire.
crispy.
So
Yeah,
good.
yeah. All right, we digress. Um,
Um so yeah, anything good that would happen, we would say happy day. So like that was the vibe all day
so you
Saturday.
had that on Saturday,
Then
and then
Sunday,
inevitably you had to come down from that shit.
yeah, a little bit, but like still in denial because I was like, oh, I have one more day before Monday. And then we did the shakeout on Sunday,
Oh,
which was
one
great.
more
Oh,
day.
one more day. Vibes were so high. Um, Went to the baseball game. I'm singing, dancing, eating popcorn, doing all this stuff. And yeah, on the tee back to the apartment, I like just stopped talking. Like I just could not formulate a sentence. Like I went fully nonverbal. Like I I don't even know what it was. I was just freaking I was freaking out. Like I was in no pain at this point.
But what were you freaking out about? What was specifically?
Just like I had like the jitters. Like I just wanted it to be over. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
So like you entered this anticipation moment where
And then
where you're like, shit, I'm gonna need to do this soon.
yeah, it was like I'm gonna need
And
to do this soon. And
I'm
then
gonna need
I was like, it was getting later. And then I was like, oh my God, what if I'm not eating early enough? Like, you just start convincing yourself of like dumb shit that you do every single time you race anyway. And like everything's going to work out and it's going to be fine. And then I started freaking out about being in pain. And then I woke up
anticipating
and
it or feeling it. You weren't feeling it at that point.
I really wasn't, but I think it was more so like I was like thinking, oh my God, what if I spend too much time on my feet? Like all the things. And then I ate a lot of carbs. I went to bed. I woke up. I had a slight headache, but it like totally went away. But everything worked out. Like I woke up early. I had Gatorade. I had
All right.
water. I had coffee. All
So
those
you
things.
you had this freak out moment, which I think a lot of people have. It's normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, you got through that, and what was your immediate thought on the start line? And just for anyone listening, we're not going to go through play by play of the entire course because I think more of I think the course is like every moment leading up to it. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of go through the course. We're not like that far away from the end here.
I was excited. I think I started to yeah, I have my freak out moments, but then when I'm at the start, like I kind of start believing that like obviously I don't have to believe it's there because it's happening, but it's just like, oh, I can do this. And then I have this weird sense of calm. Like I might freak out to the max like the night before for like a good half hour, but then I'll like shower, I'll calm down, I'll like talk myself down. But then like the morning of, I have a very weird sense of like calm. Like I'm
Mm.
very calm. I just try to be calm. Because I think the less that I freak out on race day, the less nervous I am at the start. So and Boston's kind of one of those where it feels like so casual. Like obviously it's a production to get there, but
Really?
once you're in the athletes, yeah, I don't know why. Like I'm in the
Oh
athletes
yeah, sure. When you're in
village.
the athletes' village,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
people chilling. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying like aside from the production it is to get there, which really truly like it was very organized this year, way more organized than last year in my opinion. Maybe I did it wrong last year. I don't know, but
Would you say that our core strategy, and it's okay, you can say you can say no to this following question, but would you say our core strategy like hit it, or what were some of our
100%.
stuff out of date? Are we gonna have to re-record next year? I mean, we will re-record
No, we
next
will
year,
re-record next
but
year anyway, but no, I don't think it was out of date. I actually think it was perfect. Um and yeah, everything worked out the way that you had said, like had how you laid it out. I knew like majority of it because I did it once before, but this year, um, yeah, no, it was pretty on point. And I didn't take my gel until like mile 5, I think you said, right? Between 4.5 and 5 or something. That's what I did.
for the yeah, you
Yeah.
probably took something in athletes' village.
Absolutely. I ate a
Yeah,
second breakfast.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I ate my second breakfast on the bus and then I had a gel. I actually had a gel before I started, which I typically do during my training runs, but I didn't do it like in the for the past few marathons, but I did it
I
for this one.
always recommend I always recommend doing, there is something to like when you look at like the back. I don't think it's not purely to just sell you more gels. I do
Mhm.
think having one before you run,
Mhm.
15 minutes to 30 minutes before, because then your body starts processing it. It's a lot easier to keep your stomach processing
Mhm.
than it is to when it's a little bit more empty and its blood is already shunted away to like, help all of your,
Yeah.
your muscle tissues.
Mhm.
Um, if it's starting in a like I am digesting stuff, it's
Yeah.
easier than later in the race when you start consuming things for it to continue digesting things.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why having something beforehand, even if you like don't feel like you need it,
Yeah.
is good, right? I
Yeah.
think there's a physiological reason for that.
No, for
Okay,
sure.
your first 11, it sounds like, if I heard you correctly from before, you really didn't. You were feeling good.
Yeah.
Did you do as did you pull back in the first 5 to 6, knowing
Mhm.
like a little bit about what we discussed, which is like the importance of not going too fast, or how did you
Mhm.
take? Did you throw everything out the window? Did you just bomb it?
No, I did not. I think it was one of my better executed races, if I'm being honest. I really and like I can proudly say that, even though I don't say things like that about myself all the time. But like, I think I really executed it well. Like you and Molly had talked. I think it was the day before, or maybe Saturday, um, and like talking about paces a little bit more and kind of digging deep into that. And yeah, I think I went out at like a 7:30, 7:35, which like I was
The marathon
aiming
pace is more is
like
like
seven,
a 7:15
yeah, 7:15, 7:10.
and 7:10. Yeah,
Um, so I thought that was okay.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think I like the second half was more in the 7:40, 7:45s, which I
Hmm.
was okay with, but it was just something I had to do if I wanted to finish in whatever where my goals shifted.
Right. And the pain
So
started coming in when?
I would say like a little after 11, 12. Like it was like I
Right.
could feel it at 11 and like my toes started to go numb a little bit. Um and then I was like, "Oh fuck." Like that's when I was really like, "Oh, this is done." That was when I had that moment and I'm
All
like,
right.
"It's if my toes go numb, it's
So
over."
what's your approach then to combating that? Right. Like
Mhm.
you've got these voices now saying like you're fucked, you're fucked, you're fucked, you're fucked.
Yeah, basically.
Basically,
Literally. I need that as a voice memo. So when you text me, be like, "You're
you're
screwed.
fucked.
You're
Is that
over.
when I
You're
text
done."
you?
Yeah, like anybody. That would be so funny to have as like somebody's text tone.
You're fucked, you're fucked,
You're
you're
fucked,
fucked,
you're fucked, you're fucked.
you're fucked. Okay, so what do you do to mentally to combat that? Generally, or I'm more interested in Boston specifically.
Mhm.
If and I am curious whether that matches previously or not.
Um,
Because you did combat that, and as much as I think it
yeah,
might be easy to say that, like, yeah, you might have had to have slowed down, that's fine, but you
right.
also had to make adult decisions about how to make sure that you could modulate the rest of the course to get the time that you needed, to finish with
Yeah.
the pain that you were feeling.
Mhm. Well, at first I was like when I first had like the numbness and the like I was freaking out about that. I was like, "Oh my god, did I tie my shoe too tight?" And then I was like, "No." Like and I like kind of went through that process. I'm like, "This is what I did." And like, I know it sounds crazy out loud, but I literally retraced my steps and I was like, "No, I made sure that it wasn't too tight, whatever." And then I was like I had that moment where I'm like, "Do I stop and retie it? Like is it my shoe? Is it this? Is that?" And then I was trying to like this is gonna sound so dumb out loud. You're totally gonna make fun of me, but I think like my toes were kind of
It
shoving into the front of my shoe a little bit. So I was trying to like push my heel back like while I stayed running because I didn't want to stop. Because if I knew if I stopped, it was gonna be really really hard to start again, especially with the pain kind of setting in. And then I just started convincing myself that like my feet didn't hurt or my Achilles didn't hurt. Like I was just trying to like think about a lot of other things instead of thinking about the pain that I was in.
Yeah,
And then I was also thinking about like I kept
exactly.
telling myself actually, which is kind of like it's like a weird positive in a way. I would like I knew you guys were gonna be where you were gonna be. I knew where On the Runs was gonna be, where they were gonna be.
No,
I
we
knew my
weren't, and I'm
my
so
crew.
sorry. We
I know. You really screwed me over there, Matt. I was
I did.
looking for you. My head was up. I was like this.
I
I'm like, where are
know,
they?
I
Where are they?
know, and it
Get out
was
of here.
terrible, and I feel terrible about
I
that.
know. Matt just hates me. It's fine.
We were supposed to be at 17. We ended up driving to 20 unknowingly, and then by the time we got there, we were like, well, shit, we can't. If we close the distance, we'll miss the elites, and we'll miss a couple of other people, and so like we
Hmm.
got kind of stuck at 20. And I did see you. I got a photo of you, and
You
that's
did
gonna
see
be the
me.
photo that I use when I promote this episode for you. But
Hell yeah. No,
yeah,
so I knew like at that point I was like, oh, I just need to, if I was like, if I make it to the On the Runs folks, like I know I'm gonna want to stop and say
so you break it
something
up.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But then I didn't stop.
yeah,
Like I would make the checkpoints in my head. I would be like, oh well, I can stop when I get here.
yeah.
And then I was kind of like tricking myself into thinking like whatever. And then I would just like obviously do my high
I think
fives and whatever,
I think
go
I saw a
past.
photo of you going through. I know this is a particularly joyous moment
Hmm.
for you on Boston. Was I think it was 21 with like your crew.
23, but yeah,
23.
close. Yeah.
Um, and I think I saw a photo from that, and you looked fucking fire.
Dude,
I
I
just
was so happy.
in terms of like your general pumpedness of life.
I know one of my friends put me in
Give me
slow-mo.
give me some of that. Like what? How was that for you?
That was like one of the best parts of the entire day. For real. Like they were the people where I was like, I'm gonna, because it's funny, they all make fun of me because I never stop. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, because when I stop, I don't start again. Um, well, I do, but not in a race. It's very it's very hard. But I didn't like. They knew I had the goal of like not walking this year because I had to walk last year, whatever. It's like all that stuff. But I was thinking in my head, like when I was in pain, and this was kind of one of the moments where, or one of the reasons why I was trying to talk myself down, or how I was talking myself down. Um, I was like, I'm gonna surprise, like in my head, from heartbreak to 23 or whatever, a little bit earlier than heartbreak to 23. I'm like, I'm gonna surprise them and stop and give them hugs because I
Hmm.
knew it would like probably scare the shit out of them that I stopped, right? Like, because I never do that. So in my head, I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, I just have to make it to 23 because then I'm gonna stop and it's gonna be like this hilarious moment. They're all gonna think like whatever, and it's gonna be funny, and they're gonna be surprised that I stopped. And then, um, when I got there, I could not stop. And that's when I literally screamed so loud. I think every vein in my forehead was popping out. And I just went by and I did like that huge scream.
There's something
And
about
yeah.
having a cheer crew
Yeah.
that, you know, they're there for you.
Hmm.
And I've been, obviously the runner, I've been the crew. Um, I think there was this thing that was posted on, I want to say Runner's World, maybe, where somebody, I could be wrong on where it was posted. Maybe it was just like, I don't know, some friend of mine, but
Hmm.
somebody had like recorded their person going by, you know,
Hmm.
and of course, it's like, oh my god, you got this. It's great. Everything. Then she's like, I think it was his wife, and her, she's thumbs up, she's everything, and he didn't click the button to um no 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 in a good way. He didn't click the
Okay. I
button to
thought you were
stop
going to say he
recording.
didn't.
No, he didn't
Okay.
click the button to stop recording. So it captured his talking with the other crew that were there about
Oh,
how excited they were for her. And it was this like
that's really cute.
absolutely it was this absolutely just this moment that was not meant to be recorded
Hmm.
in such a you know raw and loving thing.
Hmm.
And I am positive, 100% positive that that's how your friends were. It's how I know my crew is whenever I'm running.
Yeah.
And there's something so magical to the fact that they see you for 15 seconds
Hmm.
in a 3-hour race,
Hmm.
and the amount that can carry, the amount though. And here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, particularly as people who are crews. If you've
Hmm.
run a marathon or if you've run a race where it really matters, I think you know this. There's a lot of miles where you are waiting, and you cannot wait to get there. I
Hmm.
cannot tell you the number of times Molly is my crew where I've been like, I cannot wait to see her because she's going to have this, and that. Like if I'm doing an ultra,
Hmm.
she's going to, and it's not just she's going to have these like, tangible things for me, but it's also this support.
Hmm.
And so even though from a spectator's perspective, you're seeing somebody for 15 seconds, the runner is anticipating that for miles,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
true.
and I don't know if I've ever gone through a little bit of a like personal cheer zone without picking up my pace, like to a completely unreasonable,
Yeah. No, it's
like,
absurd. It's
like
absurd.
you're like, where the fuck did these afterburners come from?
No, I was flying, like
Yeah,
flying, flying.
yeah, and you
Every
probably weren't
anytime.
even, and you probably didn't even think about your pain was gone. You were
Yeah,
not thinking
a
about your
hundred
pain
percent,
whatsoever
a
during that
hundred
moment.
percent, a
But I
hundred
think it's
percent.
something that like I hope crew listening know that it is not just the 15 seconds. there is miles often
Mm-hmm.
of your runner being really excited to see you, even if they're in
Yeah,
pain, even if they're
it's
in pain.
true. Like
Um,
I waited like 3 hours for that moment, right?
yeah,
And vice versa. Like they waited for me,
right.
but I'm like, and I say this all the time because they show up for you, and it's like this very special bond between you and a crew. But like, the unless you're the runner, it's I don't really know the right way to say this, but it's just like they don't know how much it actually means to me as the runner. Right. And
Mhm.
I'm sure like everybody feels that as the runner with their crew, but it's just like when I say it out loud, I'm like, you have no idea. Or like everybody's like, thank you so much. Or like, I'm
Yeah,
like, thank you so much for coming. You've no idea how much. But like what they don't know is they quite literally carried me for 3 hours because that's all I was thinking about. Right. You know what I
metaphorically,
mean?
but yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But yes,
metaphorically, but you know what I mean? Like
yes,
it's
yes,
like to your point,
yeah,
it's 3
they
hours of
yes,
me being
because
like, I gotta make it,
exactly,
I gotta make it.
and that's what I and that's where that's I think how crew need to spectators whatever
Hmm.
from there like knowing that they are there,
Yeah,
right, is and I think if you've run it I think you get it, I think, or if you've run I think that you get it, I think it can and not that like anybody who waits for you is like I waited all this time for 15 seconds, you
yeah.
know they're happy to do it, you know
Hmm.
um, the I was just writing something. We have a design that supports your local runner, and I was like trying to come up with like you know a message around that of like why we came up with that design as this like as spectators and stuff.
Hmm.
I promise this is not a plug. I'm not trying to plug it, but
I mean, you
it's a
should. It's
it's
cool. I
a
need to just order the hoodie already. It's always in my cart, and I
but
like never do
I
it.
but
Just
that's
joking.
I'm almost offended. Um,
No,
no,
don't be. I still have to order from the other night when I texted you. You're like,
no,
how did you see the website? I'm like, I need to go order some like some track tights.
yeah, but the when I was coming up with the content around it, I was channeling. My mom. I call my mom. Well, whatever. We call each other,
Hmm.
and again, ahead of every major race that I've
Hmm.
done, almost every
I love
single one.
that.
And
That's so
it's like
nice.
it'll be like fucking 5:30 in the morning. I had an ultra that started at 4 a.m. My mom and I were on the phone at 3:30 a.m.
That's really cute.
and it's like and that's just something that we do,
Hmm.
and she's totally happy, you know
Hmm.
and
To be
it's
woken up.
something I really look forward to. I look
Yeah.
forward to like texting my mom how I did
Hmm.
afterwards. I look forward
Hmm.
to so like your crew, and whether that's like your mom or somebody who's texting you. I'm sure you got text in the morning that was like, you got this,
Yeah.
right?
It's that and the people that are like texting you even though they know you're not going to see it,
Yeah.
but
Oh
they're
my
still
God.
texting
Yes.
you. Like they're
I
like 1 mile. Like when I
Yeah.
cross the finish line and I open my phone to like
Yeah.
FaceTime or call, it's always like 1 mile to go. Let's go. You got this, whatever. And it's like a bunch of people are like
Yeah.
one
And
mile to
people know you're
go.
not seeing that. People know
Exactly.
you're
But
not
they
seeing
do
that,
it anyway.
and they do it anyway.
Hmm.
Or like as you're getting on the bus or something like that. And I think that extends to like you know people right next to you on the bus, where like you kind of
Hmm.
look at each other and you have that like you know you kind of give each other that like you got this
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
of thing. I've definitely fist pumped with people like in the starting corral, where you just like
Hmm.
strike a conversation and you're like, what are you doing today? And you're like, I don't know. And I feel like that's the most common like
That's true.
this could be a shit show, or
Or
I could be
yeah,
fine,
or it could be a
and
great day.
yeah.
No, but it's funny that you said that too. Like I remember meeting this couple last year on the bus and they neither of them brought their phones.
Hmm.
And I had my phone, but we were sitting like I was on the last seat on the bus, like in the back left. I've gotten there 2 years in a row, so now it's just like my seat. I think if I don't have that
Yeah.
seat, I'm probably gonna have a minor freak out in the morning, but it's fine. We'll talk about it next year in the
Yeah.
debrief. Um, but they were sitting across from me, and we were like talking, whatever. We walk in Athletes Village together, I shared some of my peanut M&Ms with them, and they were like, "Hey, can you take a picture of us? We don't have our phones." Like they wanted in front of the Hopkinton
Oh, you know what
sign.
I would have done? I totally would have done a fucking selfie with them. You know, right?
We
We're like,
did. We
is that what you did?
did. Well, we got a selfie together, and then I took their photos. I took like individuals of them. We did like a little photo shoot, and
Nice.
then I saved their numbers because I I texted it to them but didn't have time. And then something happened with my, like, I was tracking both of them, and then my tracker went out when I went back to like see how they were doing.
Mhm.
So I couldn't remember their names. And I saved them as Boston Start Line friends. So this year I texted them and I was like, "Are either of you running this year?" And they're like, "No, but we're tracking you." And I was like, "Stop. That's
Oh my god,
so nice." And
that's so
they were texting me the entire race, like the play-by-play mileage. Complete stranger. I mean, I know them now, complete strangers last year. Um, but it was such a good connection to make on the bus where
yeah,
I literally was like, "What's up? Is this your first time running?" Because I'm
yeah,
freaking out. Like that's
yeah.
literally how I introduced myself.
I
Um,
think these elements of, and this is really, I'm so happy we had this conversation today because I think so much of what goes into these efforts
mhm.
are all of the things behind and around and through the miles,
Yeah.
and these mental moments where you make these adult decisions, like we talked about adult decisions during training.
Mhm.
um, we've talked about managing through the freak out. We've talked about the stressors of everything, the moment you feel that pull,
Mhm.
of in your Achilles, right?
Mhm.
um, what do you think what do you think more people should know about, like, some, like, Boston aspirants? What do you think more people should know about what it takes to show up mentally ready for the day?
Oh, that's a great question. I think well, starting from like a training cycle perspective, like I think having patience with yourself is the most important, one of the most important things. And just knowing that what's going to happen, are you going to laugh at me and say it's
No,
cliche?
I'm fucking
I,
snapping for you because
this,
you're fucking
am I
yeah.
hitting all the right answers? Okay, good.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no wrong
no, I
answer.
think it's no, yeah, there's no wrong answer, but I think having patience
It's a
with
good answer.
yourself during your training cycle will set you up for so much success, not even running wise at the start line, like just mental success at the start line, because you're not going to like every run isn't going to be perfect in your training cycle. Like you can have a shitty training cycle and have like an amazing day. Right. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that, but that's just me. But it happens for some people, right? Like it's just the way it works. Um, and vice versa. Like you can have a really good training cycle and have a shitty day, or it can just everything can align, right? So I think having patience with yourself and learning your body and kind of just staying in it mentally in the training cycle will prepare you the best for starting
What do you mean staying in it?
like mentally
I'm not
staying
gonna
in
ask
it.
that. I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna
No,
like
I
make
love
you
this.
great on
This is
this.
why we're doing this, Matt. I love this. It makes me think. But
I mean, because I think people can understand, like, giving yourself patience. You need to give yourself the generosity of your own patience.
yeah, and I think
And
they go hand in hand.
yeah,
Like if you have
right.
patience.
So I think people understand that, but I want you to
Mhm.
elaborate on what do you mean by staying in it?
Like not getting discouraged when something doesn't go your way, or not getting discouraged when you have a bad run, or not getting discouraged when you go out there and you're not feeling your best, because all of these things will not only make like overcoming all of these things, right? Like if you come out and you're having a shit day but you make it through a run, like that's awesome. If you go out and you're like, I have to call it, I'm feeling miserable, like this sucks, and you call it, like it all leads to the same exact moment, which is getting to the start line. It all leads to that race. It's just kind of how you think about and like approach things in the future anyway, if that makes
Mhm.
sense, right? Like you overcame that during a training cycle, so you can overcome it during a race, right?
Yeah,
Like you can overcome the negative thoughts during a tempo run in your training cycle. Like you can absolutely overcome the negative thoughts during a race. Like
Yeah.
it all kind of goes hand in hand and it all kind of mimics itself, when you get to the start line. Was that deep enough? Did I think hard enough about that one?
You did, and
Okay,
I'm.
good.
I just want to say how proud I am of you. This, I think, is a cycle that required a lot of you, and it required some growth. And when I listened to your conversation about the day, more of the day, and people should listen to that.
Hmm.
And I hope that this is what you were hoping to get out of today. Um,
Absolutely.
uh, because as I was saying before, I think the sort of how you approach it is as important as the training. And yes, we can talk about training. We can talk about strategy and tactics and all that stuff. And I think that that does play into how you approach the first 6 miles. The advice around thinking about how you would like almost write a manual for what could go wrong.
Hmm.
I think it's a great thing to to take away. I think my final question, and you may not have had anything, but was there anything that just kind of made you smile that no one else saw, like on the race course? You know, you're obviously you're running with like tons of other people. Um, did you have
Good
a
question.
moment where you're like, every so often I have these moments where I kind of something pops into my head and it could be dumb, but like it puts a smile on my face. And I'm just curious if you had that experience in Boston. I obviously you're gonna have that when you pass your friends. I mean something that was
Yeah,
for you. I mean something that was for you. It's okay if
that's
you
a
answer no.
really good question. No, I definitely I don't know at what point in the course this was, but I definitely had a moment of like I don't know, like it kind of just all came full circle for me and I don't know if it's because of like how crazy this cycle has been or if it's because I got injured and I was kind of going down like knocked down a peg, but it was like I just had a moment where I was like I like I know why I'm doing this, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like
I think
I
moment of
again, I
clarity
don't.
could be an equal answer to my question. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I hope so because that's because I really do and I remember telling my sister this like the day after I was like I swear to god I had this like ridiculous moment of being so down for the 3 weeks before and like the highs and lows of that like we talked about and then while I was running I was like fuck like I love this. I love doing this. Like I'm meant to be exactly where like in that exact moment that I was thinking this I was like I am meant to be here taking these 2 steps forward even if it feels like I'm taking 2 steps back, right? Like physically, it might feel like you're taking 2 steps back because you're in so much pain. But like, I just had this moment where I was like, no, like, fuck this. Like, I like stop all these negative thoughts. Like, like, this is why I'm like, I meant to be here. And like, I'm just doing these things because I ran with a smile on my face, right? Like, I was in excruciating pain. But yeah, I don't know. I just had this like proud moment to myself.
yeah.
But
I'm glad you had that.
yeah, thanks.
Well,
And
this has
thanks
been
for doing
lovely.
this. I
No,
know I love this,
thank
Matt.
you, Allie.
And thank you
Uh,
for being there for me while I was sad and injured.
and I hope people listening feel some degree of um, camaraderie with what you went through, and hopefully this might be helpful for um, how to process coming into a cycle and coming out of it, and that like it is mentally a very challenging and distressing thing to do is to
Hmm.
run a marathon,
Yeah,
and so I'm proud of anybody who does it. I you know I am also a believer that it's not for everyone. I don't mean that in like there are some people who can't do it. I think I respect when it's not a thing that somebody wants to do. I don't think
hmm,
people should feel like they have to do it simply because it's the thing that everybody else does.
agreed.
But if it's something that you want to do, I think that you can have these like really amazing moments of clarity and growth, which it sounds like you've had in this. And when you see that cycle on cycle, I think that's where there's a lot of magic.
Yeah.
So again, I can't say enough. I'm really proud of you for this cycle. I'm so looking forward to everything ahead, and including this
Me
12
too.
hour ultra.
I'm scared.
When is that?
August 2nd.
August. We've got plenty of time.
Are you sure?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
freaking out.
I think that is the perfect way to end this episode.
I know. Matt, thanks for being my co host today. And thanks for deep diving with me. I love when you ask me hard questions and I have to think about my answers more than just like the cliche bullshit that everybody else says. So thank you. And thanks for all of your support in this training cycle because you were a huge part of it, whether you think so or not. Because I don't call many people freaking out like I called you the day that my Achilles, I thought my whole ankle was going to fall off. So, thank you for dealing with me and for helping me, and Molly
Of
too.
course. Yes, we're here for you.
I know you are.